Hi, I'm Damon Matthews. I'm a professor and research chair in the Department of Geography, Planning and Environment, and I'm the chair of the Climate Change Action Plan Committee. In 2017, Concordia University developed a sustainability policy which is now being translated into action plans. To be sustainable is to take a long-term perspective, recognize resource capacities, and balance the interconnected nature of our environment, society, and economy. In this series of videos, we're going to hear from the people making change at Concordia.
I find this work important mostly because it's not simply standing in an assembly line and counting parts. There's elements to it that really speak to myself as a person. Ideas of frugality, responsibility, and taking what you need and no more.
I think working towards divestment is important to me because it's a really concrete way of taking action about topics and issues that we talk about really generally. And it's sort of an example of how people can come together and create change on a larger scale.
So in my day-to-day, I end up working with a lot of numbers, speaking with people, setting up projects and doing all the mechanisms of it all. But when I go home at the end of that day, I know that whatever I've done has made a positive difference, both for Concordia, our community, and in fact, probably our whole world. I think the biggest challenge in my work day to day would be to take complex ideas and put them into a digestible format for others. I'm often dealing with very complicated issues of cost, availability, technology, adoption of the technology, the users, the schedules and demands of our buildings and our researchers. Basically reaching a healthy compromise of all of those things is the meat of my job, but without, of course, forsaking things like climate action, like comfort of individuals, and overall fiscal responsibility as an institution.
I would say climate science, as a scientific discipline, faces some unique challenges around the level of denial of climate science that exists in the world. And so I think as a field, that's probably one of the biggest challenges we face, is how to walk that line between, contributing to the advancement of policy towards sustainability while also countering the disinformation that is so prevalent about climate science.
Within my career, I think the ideal future would be to help Concordia to grow as an educational institution, but also improve their positive impact on our local and global environment. That's cultural environment in terms of physical environment, ecology, and in education. At the end of it all, we should be able to not only fulfill our mission as a university, but also fulfill our mission as a community stakeholder for Montreal, Quebec, and the whole world.
So I would say my ideal future is one where we decarbonize very quickly and we develop energy systems that are both lower in terms of environmental impact and also more equitable in terms of who can access that energy and how it contributes to people's lifestyles.
So I'd like to see a world where people believe in the power that they have more and are confident enough to leverage that, and also are supported enough in their communities to be able to have the time and energy to use the power that they have. I think a lot of people working towards larger systemic issues feels beyond their grasp because they're busy trying to feed their families or work or make enough money to pay rent. So my ideal future wouldn't necessarily physically look that different. I think to work towards a more sustainable future where we can exist on this planet more indefinitely than we can now, I think it has to do with making sure that people have the resources that they need to take those steps and make those changes. I question the strength and the power of individual action sometimes. I think that the discussions we have about sustainability and specifically about climate change tend to be very individualistically focused. We say, okay, you have to turn off your lights, you have to turn off the water when you're brushing your teeth, you have to drive less. But I think that even if all of us made those small choices, it wouldn't necessarily cause the amount of change that needs to happen right now. I think the changes that are happening need to happen systemically and on institutional levels and on governmental levels and in all kinds of different ways, or else it's not going to create the kind of change that happens. It needs to happen as quickly as it needs to happen.
It really depends on who you are. If you're someone who doesn't think about climate issues very much, I would say start thinking about them and start thinking about how your own life kind of contributes to climate change via the greenhouse gas emissions that you produce or the products you consume. If you're someone who's a bit skeptical of climate science, I would urge you to educate yourself and stop challenging the science that's actually really very clear. If you're someone that is already on board and would like to do more, I would say there's lots of things you can do. You can advocate for sustainability. You can contribute to social movements. You can make changes in your own lifestyle that will decrease your carbon footprint. You can contribute to research efforts in climate change. You can contribute to educational public awareness efforts as well. I think anything that moves us towards a lower carbon lifestyle, lower carbon society is important. There's lots and lots of ways to contribute to that transition.